Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome. It is round number 5 of the Abruzzi Tin Top Championship, brought to you by the Sim Racing Collective. We arrive on the California beaches of Long Beach, one of the most famous street circuits in the world, if not definitely in the United States of America. My name is Adam Reed. We are going to be around the 3.1 kilometer circuit with a very hot temperature at the circuit. I'll be alone in the commentary box. But tonight we have invested in a superb race, the penultimate round of the Tin Top Sprint Championship. And let's have a look at the calendar that we've had in store for you. If you haven't been around, here is what you have missed. You have missed 4 fantastic races at Jerez and VIR, and then the rain-soaked Monza, which changed up everything that our drivers had to go through before taking on the incredible Mount Panorama. Now, tonight on the 13th of May, we take on Long Beach before we then head to Interlagos, South America for the first time on this trip to round off and cap off a championship that has been so amazing to pretty much the Sim Racing Collective. It has been a real privilege to be part of this championship. Let's head into the championship standings. Jamie Nuttall is your points leader in the Porsche Cup standing. Pavel Grishka with 74 points. They're separated by 18. This could go right towards a championship finale. Bobby Moss will be in P3, but he is not here tonight. How many points will he be handing over by the end of tonight's race? Janus Menzel, the German, will be ahead of his compatriot of Samuel Kremers, who joined pretty late with about 10 minutes to go left of the practice session. Conor Guyan ahead of James Radford, Josh Hodson, Daniel Roberts, the Welshman, on 35 points. He is joined by Lenny Hansen and Piotr Dorobiala. His fellow compatriot of Charlie Rudnicki has dropped all the way down to 12th after no shows at the last 2 rounds. Then we find Simon Norton with Mikola Wansky, Tony Preston, Martin Blankensteiner, who we've not seen for the last couple of rounds, and also Guilherme Hamlin, new to the championship, 20 points on the board for him. How will he get on? Then we have Adam Sinecki, Bjorn Kalsef, and then Alex Richards in P20, looking further down. Diogo Marquez, Milos Meski, Martin Tiska, Daniel Kaiser, and Louis Hesketh, the final drivers that have yet to put in a result. Now we move on to our TCR category, where we do find Tom Davidson up at the top end of the championship with his teammates 1 point behind him in Craig Tordog. This could be a change in the championship, with Quinten van Wijngaarden leading 3rd, and then 4th Matt Gardner for the Sim Racing Collective esports team. And a little bit of a split before we see Vincenzo Stagnito in P5 on 47 points, 2 points ahead of Clibbins and Pike, with Mauro Gabbiati, Byron Forrest on home soil. How will he go today? With Paul Sims and then Daniel Merchant in P11. Francesco Carduolo with Paul Smith, Gareth Ronda, Paolo Miniti, Antonio Morabito, David Barnes, Daniel Ball, Anthony Quaranta, and Arn Solo, the last of the drivers in this championship. Let's head to qualifying, where we join in the final 6 minutes of this session, and we now head to this incredible, fantastic circuit that has been used by the likes of most notably the IndyCar Championship from 1984 until the present, and IMSA, where they host their Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. It has been on and off the calendar since 1990. 2 very fantastic championships, and not just that, but it's also hosted the Formula One United States Grand Prix between 1976 and 1983. So much history lies around these streets, and of course plenty of changes have happened since the ribbon was cut here over 50 years ago in 1975. 5. We watch the championship leader of Jamie Nuttall heading in towards the next sequence of corners. Such a tight sequence around here in the circuit. You know, you're really playing with playing devil's advocate. You're very much playing around with the car, doing devil's tango between the walls. And Jamie Nuttall looking to try and go quick here as he now looks to put himself onto what could potentially be his first pole position since Jerez. He's been very much noticed to be joining at the back of the field and then tried to carve his way through. It didn't quite work at VIR because that was the first time he had been off the podium since the start of his campaign in the Tin Top Sprint Championship. What about Andrew Pike here? Second in the current standings in the TCRs. He's second quickest, as I say, a 10th behind Craig Twardock. He currently sits 6th after not appearing for the of the championship into the final 3.5 minutes. So if you want to get a lap time in, it's important that you do so. Here is Gareth Ronda for the Cracked Racing team. So many Cracked Racing team drivers as well on this grid. There's going to be so many to kind of list and note down, so I won't do that to you. I'll just leave you with the incredible TCRs heading around the circuit, heading through one of the most famous corners in arguably United States motorsport. That might have to be one of my that might have to be one of my next polls that I do. I might have to ask, or do like a little poll to American motorsport viewers. What is your most favorite famous corner, straight, or circuit, or whatever, and just see what their answers are. So it is currently Pavel Grishka at the moment on top in the Porsche Cup category. He is second in the championship. Has not had a pole position in terms of who has got pole position. It was Jamie Nuttall in Jerez. Then it was Bobby Moss in VIR. Then it was Charlie Rudnicki in Monza. Before then, it went to, I believe, Janos Wenzel in the Bathurst round. I mean, that I've actually forgot to add onto my little spreadsheet. That's poor, I think, from me. So prepared to just be able to slate me in the comment sections that we have live here on YouTube. You can also follow as we've had Paolo Miniti hit the tyre barrier on the exit of the penultimate corner of the circuit. That's going to be a little bit disappointing in that case. But, this is going to be a real tough fight to see who's going to be grabbing those last potential pole position slots. Sam Kremers deciding that this is not the one for him. He's not gone any faster, so he's looking to now potentially try and push himself on a little bit forward. There is Guilherme Hamlin all the way down in 13th. Has not posted a lap time. Neither is Jamie Nuttall. So these two doing exactly what they do and just starting from the back of the field. These two very good friends off the racetrack, but on the racetrack they can be very fierce competitors. I'm not sure how they're going to be able to go around this one, because this is going to be a really tough circuit. It looks like Guilherme Hamlin going into the pit lane. In fact, smashing up one of the barriers in the pit lane on that part. So that wasn't an ideal situation, but that seems to be the grid for this one, unless I am missing anyone around the circuit. It does not look like, according to my timer screens, anybody is circulating around, so that will signify the end of this qualifying session here. We wait for the time to just tick down, and then we will go through the entire grid with you to mark off the 5th round of the Abruzzi Tin Top Championship here at Long Beach. And of course, we then have that championship finale in Brazil next time around. But yeah, let's kind of stay focused here on Long Beach, because, as I said, it's an incredible circuit. The first time I've covered Long Beach at all. So it's going to be super interested to see, what are the characteristics around the circuit. Of course, we know it's tight, we know it's bumpy, and we know that it's going to be a really difficult, uh, circuit to try and negotiate. You're seeing some of the pictures around the circuit. You're seeing a hairpin which effectively goes 180 degrees. It's banging back on yourself. Imagine going down your local, motorway or highway or whatever, and then having to do basically a 180 into, the opposite kind of lane. It's how tight you are looking around this one. If we look to now grid up on towards the start, and here is your grid. It is the first pole position and a 5th in a row in terms of different pole sitters for Paweł Kryszka, the Polish driver. In the number 56 will start on the front row. He'll be alongside Josh Hodgson, who makes his best qualifying position. Samuel Kremers, the German driver, will be in P3. He's got Adam Sinecki alongside him. And once again, another German-Polish row of the grid. This time on the 3rd row, it's Janos Wenzel ahead of Khan Nagayan. Lenny Hansen will be in 4th, followed by Daniel Roberts, with James Stone Radford, and then Piotr Dorobiala with Tony Preston in P11. Jamie Nuttall will be in 13th, followed by Guilherme Hamlin in the 2 cracked racing drivers. Will be looking to go from 12th and 13th on the grid. Then we find our pole sitter for the TCRs in Craig Twardock. It is going to be an all front row for Audis, with Andrew Pike coming in 2nd. Daniel Merchant will be up next, followed by Byron Forrest on home turf. What will the American do from the 2nd row of the TCR field? He will be in front of Francesco Carduolo. Then we find Gareth Ronda in P19, Paul Smith in P20 with Vincenzo Stagnito, and Paolo Miniti, the all-Italian, 11th row of the grid. What about row 12? Well, we see Paul Sims, and rounding off the grid is going to be Mauro Gabbiati in P24 in his Hyundai. 181 will be the driver to round off this field, but my question is, has he ridded up? We'll have to see about that one, because as far as I'm aware, if you sign up and do not start, you go into did not start, and you get 5 points taken away from you from your championship standing. So, if you turn up for all the races, and then for apart from one, which you kind of sign in, do not start, you will have 5 championship points being taken away from you. Josh Hodgson has seemingly disappeared. I wonder if that is potentially a disconnection slightly, or maybe something to keep an eye out for. But he does look to be back there in that number 88 with the white base and green highlights surrounding his car. The pace car will now pull away. The Porsche Cayman will now make its way on towards the next sequence of corners through Pine Avenue, and then before heading on towards the right-hander of Seaside Way. This is where it's now starting to build. There are a lot of stories to go about, especially in the Porsche Cup. Well, Jamie Nuttall could be a championship contender, but Paweł Kryszka, if he can put himself into a really good position and put himself probably into a top 3, could he maybe even post himself as a championship threat? And remember, no Bobby Moss, 3rd in the championship. There comes Janos Wenzel. What can he do from his position? Sam Kremers joining late. Is he going to be able to maybe post a really good time? But that front row looks very threatening, I have to admit. And that is just going to be something to really keep an eye out for. Of course, Tom Davison leads the championship despite not being here. So Craig Twardock has a big opportunity to go and put in a really good set of results. It's going to get tight here at the hairpin. Ralph 5 of the Abruzzi Tin Top Series is here at Long Beach. We get set. We go green here at Long Beach, and they'll cast their way down towards turn number 1. It's already going to be 3 wide in towards that opening first corner, unless they can sort themselves out. It'll be Josh Hodgson to go and lead this one. Adam Sinecki is going to try up the inside. The Polish driver grabbed it away from the Briton, heading in towards the fountain for the first time. It looks like the 73 is trying to spread its leg, trying to run its legs and go forward here. What about Craig Twardock? Already under pressure here from Andrew Pike, the 2 Sim Racing Collective esports guys, and that's going to be Twardock. Twardock in the wall. The early stages, he's gone. He's gone. The championship challenger is out at the second corner. There's somebody going through the fountain. There's 2 cars going through the fountain. It has been a running joke that somebody's going to end through the fountain, and we've not had one, but 2 cars do exactly that. They head their way down Seaside Way and on towards this next right-hander, the 23 there, attacking of what appears to be Daniel Roberts. Can the Welshman potentially get anything out of this one? Trying to float it around the outside of the number 21 of Kana Nugaya, but they'll just knock themselves up here in towards the hairpin, and that is going to be, well, some big moments already in the early stages of this race. Karnagayan trying to potentially make a move here, but looking back here, Pavel Grishka, I'm pretty sure, is our pole sitter. He's dropped all the way back to 6. So many unknowns going into this championship. Wow, what an opening lap that this race has produced in these early stages. Not something I would have predicted, but now they're just trying to get into a rhythm here at the Long Beach circuit. And Daniel Merchant, the Briton, is looking to try and maybe potentially make a move here on Andrew Pike, who saw a fellow championship contender go into the barriers in the very first offing. I'd love to be able to get a replay of that from Craig Twardock, because that now sees him in a very difficult position. However, if he can just continue, grab whatever points, it doesn't matter, as long as he makes it to the flag, that will result him getting any championship point that he may need. Here is the replay here. Twardock grabbed the curb on the inside line, hits the wall on the outside, then watch the car. It just turns itself around, backs itself in the tyre barriers, and then one of our Hondas having to take evasive action, cutting through the grass of the fountain, and that was Gareth Ronda, in fact. So thank you very much, director, for pointing that out. But we now look back to the battle here. Daniel Merchant for the Nations League Racing team. Look into the hairpin and try and get a good exit off that very tight corner. Now we see a Pike trying to maybe wiggle off the TCR. The Hyundai now approaching onto the back of the Audi, but then just hard on the brakes and not really sure what to do with that move, just trying to build it up. Meanwhile, Josh Hodgson has dropped the place here to appear to be Janos Benzel, so not too bad there from the German driver. Hodgson took the fastest lap of the race last time around, 1 minute 20.4. He looks to try and maybe regain that position. However, oh dear, that's not quite where he'd want to be. He's dropped another place on this one. The biggest winner out of all of this so far, Daniel Roberts, up 4 in the Porsche Cup class. The biggest loser was Samuel Kremers, down 10 places to his result. That's not where he's going to be wanting to be. Neither for Craig Twardock, who's down there in P10, and he's just about moving as well, which is not ideal. This is the replay down in towards the first corner. So you see they're going to the inside, the number 73, that being Adam Sinecki. But we're having a look here at Samuel Kremers. Ooh, look at that front right there. That is completely broken, and Samuel Kremers transports himself back to the pits. Yes, he is still on the move as well. It does look like Khan Nagayan is now heading down the next straight. And look at that, up the inside will go the 56 here. Oh, there's a little bit of contact between the two. And there's going to be Polish driver, Paweł Griszka, who's lost 5 places since the opening start here. He's trying to gain another place back here on the Drive Lounge racing car. Head their way through that last sector. Looks like now that Paweł Griszka is going to try that outside and he's going to swing the car in, try and get the exit. The tyre just slipping away, asking a lot off the rear was Paweł Griszka, and he will now try and pass his way on that outside line. He should have that extra speed and the side draft to go with it, and the TCRs are already into play here. That's the number 72 there, I think, of Paolo Miniti. Oh no, that must have been Craig Twardock. My apologies in that. No, sorry, it was Paolo Miniti. Yeah, just correcting myself on that one because Twardock is just up ahead. There he is in his Audi. So he is continuing forward, and this is going to be a good positive, I think, for Craig Twardock, because as I said, at the moment, if the race finished now, he would gain 12 points, which would put him on, what is that, 97 points, 11 ahead of Tom Davidson. And trying to chop down an 11-point lead is going to be very difficult. But remember one thing here, there is still drop scores to put in. Tom Davidson is going to use one of his drop scores on one of his missed round. Meanwhile, Craig Twardock's drop score will be his 3rd place in Monza, which was 20 points. That's going to be something to really keep an eye out for. That's not something you really want to be, going for. You want to be trying to keep it consistent as much as possible. Tom Davidson, of course, already kind of giving up kind of his championship lead after missing Bathurst and now Long Beach. So if he can turn up for Interlagos and still take the championship contention, that would just kind of show how dominant he was. That's Daniel Roberts, the Welshman. He's gone straight on down at turn number 1, and that's going to be a little bit of a problem for the number 23 Porsche. Let's see what happens here. Up the inside goes, I think that's going to be Paweł Griszka. Had a look in the mirrors, and by the time he realized, he was already halfway off the escape road and heading toward the other side of the track. Also hits the barrier for good measure. So that's not going to be an ideal situation there for Daniel Roberts, but he'll push on forward and see what else he can gain from all of this. So it's still Sinecki from Wenzel, from Hodson, from Nagai, and Paweł Griszka still not being able to get through. It's Radford and Hansen, Dora Biala. You may be thinking, well, where is Jamie Nuttall in all of this? Well, he is just in behind there, right at the back that you can see, in 9th place, gone up 3 positions, but this is a little bit less than ideal pace that we'll normally see from the Craps Racing team. And we see our current championship leader heading in towards the left-hander. He's coming up now against Piotr Dorobiala. And it looks like Lenny Hansen has managed to get ahead of, that's going to be James Radford. They'll battle their way in towards the fountain. The number 69 getting squeezed there of Lenny Hansen. Hansen's going to stay ahead here, and that's going to invite potentially Jamie Nuttall a chance of trying to maybe go on the outside of Piotr Dora Biala. Remember, there is a mandatory stop involved in this as well. So our Porsche Cup cars and TCRs will have to pit at this rate. At the moment in the TCRs, Byron Forrest is on for an overall podium, which will be a massive, massive compliment to him, especially having such a difficult season. His best finish being Bathurst. 5th place for him. So if he can get an overall podium at the only one or two American circuit, that would be a huge positive for him. But sticking now with Lenny Hansen, he's going to have to really stay defensive in this one. Through the hairpin they go. And once again, Radford trying to get the exit. He's going to be in the slipstream. Battery is going to be deployed. It's going to be straight battling all the way down this main back straight. They'll head their way in towards that first corner. Will it be a defensive move from Lenny Hansen? He knows kind of the difficultness that move would have had to acquire as he rushes his way in towards the fountain, and off he goes in towards the next sequence. It's very much Lenny Hansen being the cork in the bottle here. The minute that he makes a mistake, this is going to unleash absolute hell here. There is Guilherme Hamlin, and he's being allowed to catch up to this battle. At one stage, he was 2 seconds behind Jamie Nuttall. Now he finds himself at half a second, and that just shows the battling that is happening on here. I think also it was 14 seconds about a couple laps ago compared to when I looked. Radford now 16 seconds behind Adam Sinecki. Sinecki still batting away here with Janos Wenzel, half a second between those guys. So if they continue to do battle here, that is going to be a huge potential positive also for Josh Hodson. Hodson disappearing there in the background. Of course, started on the front row of the grid. You'll need these cars to start batting away, and I think that is also going to be Craig Twardock in this little tussle. So already Twardock about to be lapped. It's going to be done down this straight indeed. So you see the Honda moving aside and just saying to one of the Porsches, yep, I'm going to let you through. Should let the other one back through, but how aggressive does the second place car of Janos Wenzel want to be? He gets a little bit held up on the exit of the left-hander, but now Adam Sinecki is able to breathe a sigh of relief. But just a minute now. We have gone through the first 10 minutes of this one. Now look back here to Piotr Biala, who's trying to hold off Jamie Nuttall here, and this could be potentially Jamie Nuttall's worst result of his entire tin top sprint career, because I don't believe he was in that opening champion. No, yes he was. He became third and second, and then first for 5 times in season 2. And the first time off the podium was VIR, where he finished 4th. But, you know, let's not call it early here. He's immediately got past Dora Biala, as I was just trying to call out the stats. But now he's on the back here of Radford. It looks like also Pavel Grishka is into the pit. So I wonder if Grishka's hit something, or has he just decided to come in early because he was, you know, down in P4, not in a position where he wants to be, but now handing places over. And it looks like now Nuttall up to P6 here. There goes one of the, I believe that's one of the Audis of Paolo Miniti, moving aside. So Nuttall up to 6th here. Now we're going to go on the charge of Lenny Hansen, the second highest rated Brits in the field. And they make their way through the left-hander and on towards these sweeping section of corners. Such a bumpy section as well. You're going basically over a crest before dipping back down slightly, and you can, you know, have a couple of vision issues in that one as well, because, you know, there's so many bumps on that one, that part of the circuit. You know, you're going up, then you're going down, and then, you know, your vision can get slightly skewed as well, because you're really tunnel visioning at this circuit of Long Beach. Now look back to Paul Smith. Paul Smith doing a really, really good job here. He's looking to be on his best performance so far. 9th was his best result, although back at Jerez. Khan Nagayan is into the pits as well. So that's going to be 2 Polish drivers in the pits in the space of 2 laps. So that's something to kind of note here, if they're trying to make early pit stops, or if they're going to be trying, you know, an alternative strategy, pitting early and then being able to go 26 minutes pushing flat out. But kind of going off the pit exit, he managed to get ahead of his fellow Polish driver Pavel Grishka. No, he hasn't. Pavel Grishka just getting past there in the number 56. So we'll have to see how this all turns out. Yes, that is the pit exit right at the very end of turn number 1. And no, you cannot cross that line. It is against the rules. You will receive a penalty. I don't know what it's like in iRacing. I'm sure you'll be given a slapped with a big old penalty on this one. This is now the lead of the race then. Janos Wenzel right behind Adam Sinecki. And it now looks like the number 73 is going to cruise on by. There's a Hyundai in the road here. This could end a little bit horribly. Wenzel's trying to go to the outside line. Is he going to try and put that car there? Does send Sinecki a little bit defensive, but in toward the fountain. That's not a place to overtake. Seeing one of the, I believe that's Andrew Pike ahead in his Audi. So through the right-hander they go. You can just see there Adam Sinecki getting a little bit held up on the exit will go. And he's just going to be tagged onto the back there of Pike, waving his windscreen wiper as well with the Porsche. But he's now going to be side by side with Pike. That's going to be a little bit distracting. Holds a tighter line here, so it might lose a little bit of time, but casts himself beautifully for the next couple of corners. He plays with he dances with fire there on that part. Really having to take well, what is a really tight line and playing with the barriers very much so. Janos Wenzel will look to attack. So it is Sinecki from Wenzel, from Hodson, from Hansen. Nuttall still on the attack of Hansen. Oh no, that's Janos Wenzel! Janos Wenzel has dropped it on the exit. Oh, it's going to be tough. He's been in contact with one of the, I think that was potentially Vincenzo Stagnito, potentially. That's going to be a really, really difficult one. But Janos Wenzel's dropped a place, and that's going to be Josh Hodson up to second place. Wenzel dropping a good 10.5 second. Look, he's already back up the inside of one of the TCR cars. That was definitely the Honda. I think that might have been Paul Sim. So let's have a look in towards the hairpin. Sets himself right up, and then just makes a little bit of contact with the inside wall, spins himself around, and that was not what he would have wanted. That is going to be so difficult to try and back from. It's not really something you manage to kind of reclaim either. It's going to take a long while to get himself back up into speed here. Piotr Dorobiala into the pit lane. And why is this? Oh dear. Having a bit of an issue. Onto the curve he goes. Spins himself around. Does he hit the wall? No, he doesn't. Just locks out. Locks up his tyres. And that is going to be such a difficult moment. So a lot of mistakes being made here in Long Beach. Josh Hodson going on really well here. 4 seconds adrift to Adam Sinecki. But it may just be about survival in this case. Because, Adam Sinecki's had, his kind of issues. So has Hodson, so has Wenzel. Drivers have decided to pit early as well. That's something that needs to be taken into consideration. Andrew Pike still leads the TCR class from Daniel Merchant. Byron Forrest in third, followed by Paul Smith and Mauro Gabbiati. Stagnito, Ronda, Twardok, Miniti rounding out the top 10. And it looks like there is Jamie Nuttall up into fifth, but still not past Lenny Hansen just yet. He's still trying to negotiate some of these tricky sections on the circuit. Looks like Hansen's going to be a little bit tentative going into that right-hander. Nuttall's going to be able to attack, but he's just got to find an area at some point to go and attack that white and red Porsche of Hansen. And the gap there from Hansen to Sinecki will be 19.4 seconds. Such a tough margin to try and follow. 7 seconds to the back of Janos Wenzel as well. Let me head back to my timing screen and just confirm this as well. Yes, 8 seconds. Just under 8 seconds between Lenny Hansen and Janos Wenzel. So this is going to be something to keep an eye out for. There goes Hansen up the inside of the TCR. What I believe is Daniel Merchant. Nations League Racing. The only Nation League Racing driver in the field. What about Jamie Nuttall? He's still trying to look to get past that purple and black car, but now he's also got 6th place on his rear bumper. James Radford, as he looks to now potentially climb onto the back of the current championship leader in the Porsche Cup class. And look at that. Already another spot gained for the number 69 of Lenny Hansen, gaining past the current race leader of Pike. So already we're seeing some really tough moves being made. Traffic management is going to be really pivotal in this case as well. We look to Byron Forrest. He is having to play a big defensive role against Paul Smith. They're separated by absolutely nothing in this case, and it does look like this is going to be a big issue. I think also Jamie Nuttall's had a mistake. Yes, he had. Has he hit the inside wall of the hairpin? I wonder if he's pretty much done the same as Janos Wenzel. So that's going to be a big disappointment there for the championship leader. Wenzel, who goes into this title charge, sits in P4. What about Pavel Grichka? Remember, he's made an early pit stop. Currently sits in P8. So at the moment, oh, it's a little bit of bumping and barging. Oh dear, and who was that? That looks to be the it's Craig Twardock. It's Craig Twardock in the midst of all that carnage once again. Oh my goodness me, Craig Twardock cannot catch a break. I spoke about him earlier, just needing to stay out of trouble. Oh dear, oh, into the barrier goes, slow off the corner, oh, then gets hit by the number 69, then goes into the side of Jamie Nuttall. Nuttall's probably throwing hands, thinking, what on earth is going on? And Twardock now just needs to get it back to the pits. However, this is still a replay as he pulled off the circuit. Ooh, oh gosh, he's just managed to make it through the hairpin, but without a couple of brushes. He just needs to get to that finish line. So Craig Twardock at the minute would be picking up 11 points for his effort. One less than he was a couple of moments ago. Lenny Hansen into the pits as this race has absolutely flown by. 17.5 seconds left on the clock. Still a lot of pit stops to be made, that including Adam Sinecki, Hodgson, Wenzel, Radford, Hamlin and Nuttall in the Porsches. In the TSR sits Pike, Merchant, Forrest, Smith, Gabbiati and Sims in this sense. So Byron Forrest has pulled a little bit of margin to Paul Smith as well. As out comes Lenny Hansen. So Lenny Hansen has made his pit stop. I wonder if he's made a stop for tyres as well. So Hansen now exits the pit lane nice and calmly, and will be just in behind what seems to be our leaders. That's Hodgson, in fact. So he's been lapped there by Hodgson. Not something that you would want to think about at the end of all this. But remember, Josh Hodgson does have to pit at some point during this race. Part of his mandatory stop. He makes his way through the right-hander and on towards the back straight. So just negotiating there. And turns 8 and then on towards the Seaside Way. But some really promising action so far. He's been very active in parts of this one. So Sinecki from Hodgson, from Wenzel, from Radford, from Hamlin, from Nuttall. Fastest lap of the race going to Pavel Grichka as well. 1 minute 19.4, but fastest of all. So on the last lap, I believe actually goes to, again, Pavel Grichka, 1 minute 20.5, but then I've just spotted 1 minute 20.4 from Khan Gayan down there in 8th place, who has made a pit stop here. So he's just trying to follow within the tracks here. of Pavel Grishka. Meanwhile, the TCR is being led by Andrew Pike, from Daniel Merchant, Byron Forrest being at the source of this massive amount of entertainment, because he's just holding off now Paul Forrest, who is that TCR in behind. It is South Korea versus Japan. It is Hyundai versus Honda. Just having to try and carry that Hyundai for another 15 minutes. Going to be the decipher in all of this. To the left-hander, Byron Forrest will just keep on pushing forward. Here he goes in towards the fountain section. He's just got to try and not drop that car into a barrier, into any form of runoff that, you know, is featured on this circuit. Don't get stuck on a curb. You know, just drive your car to what could potentially be his first podium of the season. As I mentioned, we are over halfway into this race, 14 minutes left, and here is James Radford dragging that Porsche around the circuit, and Wenzel does the fastest lap of the race, 1:19.477 last time around, trying to shut the gap down to Josh Hodgson. And that number 88 Porsche is looking very, very strong, but also so does the number 13. What about Guilherme Hamlin right behind him? Because he is putting some absolute stonkers last time around. 1:20.9. And Jamie Nuttall, 1:20.2. There's some pretty fast drivers out there at this moment in time. But Radford's going to really have to try and hang on. Where do you go for a move here if you are Guilherme Hamlin, the Cracked Racing team? Trying to go maybe in towards turn 7. It's not the opportunity, but there is a TCR of Ronda up ahead. He'll move to that right-hand side, get slightly slowed down, but I think on the exit, so will the Porsche of Hamlin. Hamlin moves to the right now to try and clear that TCR, which he does exactly to its heart's content. And then hard on the brakes they go, right just before that 100-meter ball, before getting the car rotated. A lot of curbing for that number 13 of James Radford. Radford now going to have to maybe go defensive. He's huddling the barrier like his favourite teddy bear. And now onto the exit. We'll look to see if Hamlin can respond, but it doesn't look like that is the case in this one. Can Radford hold on for an astonishing 4th place finish? And that would be a massive, massive kudos for him, because he's finished, trust me, I couldn't believe it when I read it. He has finished 8th, 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 8th. I'm not joking. As far as my research goes, he's finished 8th 4 times in a row, and he's now about to chop that in half in terms of his position. Oh, there goes Radford! And just as I mentioned him, the commentator's curse coming into full effect. And oh my goodness me, the commentator's curse striking again against James Radford. Oh, there was so much praise for the Porsche driver, but it just did not happen. Running on board here with Radford, I was commenting on his position, took too much curb, drops the car, rear goes round. And James Radford will now drop a further 2 places, handing over one to championship leader, Jamie Nuttall, who I don't think will go down well in the books of his championship rival, Pavel Grishka. In comes Tony Preston, out comes Tony Preston. He's also joined by one of the TCRs. So that is very telling now to tell us that in terms of the Porsche Cup, it's now Pavel Grishka. Pavel Grishka is putting in the fastest laps here, or the best times here. 1:19.5 compared to Adam Sinecki's 1:19.9. Looks like now he's got to try and close up. He's also right behind Radford as well. But we now see the tandeming duo, the Cracked Racing team of Guilherme Hamlin and Jamie Nuttall, still quite the way behind the likes of Sinecki, the likes of Hodgson, and the likes of Janos Wenzel. Will they be able to catch him before the end of the race is a question that is very, very tough when you're looking at the live standings. The TCR driver of Andrew Pike is out the pit lane now. He's served his pit stop. He's now waiting for Daniel Merchant to appear because Paul Smith has come upon him as well. He'll now make his way out of the pit lane at full racing speed behind a couple, one of the Porsches, one of the TCRs, and I believe that is in fact Daniel Merchant to come out ahead here. There he is. In fact, no, so it was Paul Sims who was behind, and that is going to be a big positive for the Honda. Byron Forrest is still on course to take a good P3, but now I need to be careful on my words here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness me! There's an orange and white Porsche. That was Tony Preston. Tony Preston down there in 11th, causing a couple of troubles for drivers. And at the moment in time, we've had 2 DNFs. Piotr Biala of the Kukad's crew in the Porsche Cup, and most notably Craig Twardok, who's in the pit lane 8 laps down. He'll at the moment not be scoring points. What happened here then with Tony Preston? Into the right-hander. Did he grab too much curb? Yeah, just wrong angle. Wrong angle to attack those curbs. Spins it back round. Doesn't see that there is Daniel Merchant appearing on the scene very quickly. And now we see that, yeah, we've got Guilherme Hamlin and what seems to be Jamie Nuttall there in the background. Yes, number 14. So that was very, very difficult. Now, out the pits comes Adam Sinecki and Janos Wenzel. So those two have made pit stop. This could be a big pivotal change in this one. Because remember, oh, here comes Pavel Grishka. Grishka has managed to go through. And Wenzel continues to drop places. Sinecki will hold the provisional lead there. So some really, really interesting and chopping and changing moments from this race. So this is where it's all starting to play out. Still haven't received pit stops here from Josh Hodson, Guilherme Hamlin, Jamie Nuttall and not Pavel Grishka, James Radford. So it looks like at the moment it is Sinecki versus Grishka. And Grishka at the moment, 5.5 seconds. With the lap time he's been putting in, would be mega competitive. He can close down Adam Sinecki and potentially close in on that championship lead. So Sinecki making his way through the hairpin. And that behind is still Tony Preston, but we'll see in just a moment's time out of the hairpin. There is the P5 on the race circuit of Pavel Grishka, and in comes Josh Hodson now into the pit lane. He's served his stop. He is now making his way out of the pits. He's going to come out in a gaggle of cars. This is going to be Merchant. I think there's Forrest in there. There goes Radford, I believe, as well. So Hodson comes out of the pit lane behind Radford, but at the moment it is still a provisional P3 unless Hamlin and Nuttall have something in their back pockets. Oh, that could have been another moment there for Radford. The car started to drift out on him through the left-hander. Trying to power their way out of turn 7 and on towards 8 they go. Radford overtaking Merchant here. And some big positives for Merchant. He's still 16.5 seconds adrift of Andrew Pike. So this might be a simple victory for Pike. Merchant's got to look behind now between knowing that Byron Forrest is 2 seconds behind. Guilherme Hamlin and Jamie Nuttall continuing up at the front here, but we won't be seeing that for too long. They are waiting for whatever opportunities will arrive, and they'll be pitting pretty much within the last, well, I think the last 2 laps. Whatever the latest they can call it, they're going to do it. So clear air for both the Cracked Racing drivers. Will they be able to put in faster lap? Well, Hamlin has just done a 120.7. It's slower than Sinecki, it's slower than Grishka, I think it's slower than Radford as well. Meanwhile, Nuttall 1 minute 20.2. So he is pretty much looking faster than Hamlin. If he can try and put his way through, that'll be a big positive. But I think Hamlin will not want to relinquish this one. They know each other very, very well, raced with each other so many times. And that is the switch for the race lead. Jamie Nuttall ahead of Hamlin here. They turn their way through the next sequence of corners. 5 and on towards, towards 9 and 10 and then on towards 11 for exiting out of that final corner. Still no pit stop with 4.5 minutes left to go. So the provisional results in the minute. Adam Sinecki from Pavel Grishka, from Josh Hodson. It's because he's some really, really big podium results here in this one, with Sinecki grabbing a very, very well-deserved race. This is his 3rd race of the season. He's had 1 top 10 of the season. That was back at Monza. Now he's looking to go for a race win. What about Pavel Grishka? Well, this is going to close his battle in the championship. And he's going to really have to hope that he can make it all work out. Because he needs to shut that gap down. 18 points adrift. And if he can get himself in that top, if he can put himself into 2nd, I think that'll be a positive result. And what about Josh Hodson here? Because Hodson has been on a difficult run of form, I think. Hodson has not really been a driver that's been, right up there. Currently in 3rd place in net positions. So remember, still a position, pit stop we are owed by Nuttall and Hamlin. So Josh Hodson will try and push on forward. He's had 3 top 10s in this one. Highest place finish being 7th back at Long Beach. If he can grab a first podium of the season, this would just kind of show another level of the competitiveness for the sim racing, the Abruzzi sim racing, Tin Top Championship. Speaking of Abruzzi, we are proud to say that we have continued to strengthen our partnership with Abruzzi. You can also check out their affiliate links to support the Sim Racing Collective. Any small commissions from your orders when you use TSRC 10 for 10% off will go towards your support for the Sim Racing Collective. That is TSRC 10 for 10% off their gloves, boots and teamwear. A big thank you once again to Abruzzi. Nuttall and Hamlin still battling away here. It looks like also Adam Sinecki is getting in on the action as well. Sinecki has been so good in the last recent moments. The pace has been unbelievable from him. He's just managed to connect with the circuit. 1 minute 30 left to go. So I think these guys are leaving. Oh no! Oh, it's Adam Sinecki in the wall! And the driver who could be on for his first win of the season in the Porsche Cup class to make it a third different winner, has planted himself in the barrier, but is still able to continue. Any damage on that Porsche, and he might start going backwards down in towards the left-hander. It doesn't seem to be anything too dramatic, according to my vision. But yeah, it looks like Sinecki is just about to survive that. My goodness, that could have gone all sorts of wrong. And Adam Sinecki is just surviving by a hair's width after that. Expect pit stops here from Jamie Nuttall and Guilherme Hamlin, because this is the final point that they can do it. And Jamie Nuttall will not pit. Very, very strange. I need a little bit of confirmation here because they haven't, yeah, they haven't made mandatory stops. So what happens in this case? They get disqualified? Can't imagine they would be allowed to just continue like this unless my rules have just been. Oh, I've not been looking at the rules properly and completely missed something. But yeah, we've not taken a pit stop. Bearing in mind, we know that Jamie Nuttall and Adam Sinecki know that they're doing it for fun. You know, they take their sim racing, I'd say, partially seriously. You know, they're fast, they get good results, but you know they can come in here, have a bit of fun, and get some fantastic results out of it. We've seen it in the rain with with like some Monza. We'll have to see how this all turns out. But round the last couple of corners, Jamie Nuttall has done the best that he could. And through he comes on toward the checkered flag. We'll have to wait because I'm not entirely sure. But over the timing beam, it will be Jamie Nuttall to take the first place on the road. Adam Sinecki to inherit the win due to no pit stops. I'm sure that will be something that I'll be updated on. Hamlin will be in P3. A fantastic result for him. Grishka will come home in 4th. And if that is the official result, let's say it is, the championship results will get extended from Jamie Nuttall. Andrew Pike comes over the timing line. He will win in the TCR class. Sam Kremers busting up the engine as well for good measure. What about Daniel Merchant? Here he comes round that last corner. He will be in 2nd. And what a finish for him. But I think the biggest applause will come from the American. Byron Forrest will come home in P3. Unbelievable. An American on the podium here in Long Beach. Oh, what an absolute dream. Unbelievable stuff here from Byron Forrest. And all the drivers putting in some fantastic results. Rudnicki getting some support. We'd see a big shunt right to the end. Vincenzo Stagnito turning his TCR into a rolling dice. What number did it land on? I have no idea. Don't ask me. Oh, I think we're seeing a bit more carnage toward the back between drivers who haven't quite finished yet. In fact, they have finished. That's Khan Nagayan floating around the outside of one of the TCRs. I think it hasn't finished. They must have done. But whoever it is completely losing it. That is Gareth Ronda. I think Gareth Ronda has, in fact, gone over the line. So he's now just pulling back into the pit lane. But that is the finish then for our Abruzzi Tin Top Championship. And we'll get the official results confirmed for you in just a moment's time. We're just waiting for the last couple of moments in this race when we will see the results get taken away from us. Here are your official results then. It is Jamie Nuttall taking the victory ahead of Adam Sinecki, Guilherme Hamlin from Pavel Grishka with Josh Hodson and Khan Nagayan. Janos Wenzel, not the best results he would have hoped for down there in P7. With Daniel Roberts, James Radford, Lenny Hansen, Tony Preston, Sam Kremers, and then the only DNF of the Porsche Cup is going to be Piotr Dora-Biala. Onto the TCRs then. Andrew Pike taking his first victory in the TCR class. Where is he going to be at the end of these standings? Daniel Merchant comes home in 2nd, and the American Byron Forrest, a fantastic victory from him, with Paul Smith taking home 4th ahead of Vincenzo Stagnito and Paul Sims. Then you find Gareth Ronda, who got lapped, followed by Mauro Gabbiati, Francesco Carduolo, and then no points as far as I'm aware for either Paolo Miniti or Craig Twardock. Well, an unbelievable end to the racing here at Long Beach. It was chaotic, it was confusing, But we had an unbelievable race at the end of it. Well, what an amazing race we've had. Just kind of fill you in on the calendar. Let's load that back up. As you now see there, 5 rounds have been done. We are waiting for Wednesday, the 20th of May, for the round at Interlagos in Brazil. It is going to be a samba party for these drivers. Plenty on offer, and if we can get Tom, if we can get Tom Davidson back in, well, that is going to be a hotly contested championship battle, and trust me, I'm really looking forward to that. And that will round off season 3 of the Abruzzi Tin Top Sprint on iRacing, brought to you by the Sim Racing Collective. Thank you for everyone, the Sim Grid. Coach Dave Delta, Tam Livery, Abruzzi, and Motorsport UK for recommending us as a trusted community. Big thank you to all those guys. But from myself, Adam Reed, to round everything off, it has been an absolute joyride to have this championship on. It's posted so many incredible moments in this one. But this is the end of the broadcast now. We've had our trip through Europe into Australasia and North America. It's time to go to South America for the Samba Party in Interlagos. Well, take care. See you in a week's time. Good night.